Hi y'all, I'm back with another devlog, and no, it isn't Lil Miss Dragon, but another game I'm working on while I take a break on Lil Miss Dragon. I've gotten into detail as to why I'm taking a break in the very first YouTube short I made of this game, so I won't go into it again. Speaking of those shorts, I want to give a rundown on what I made in those videos. So basically, I am recreating an older game of mine, but this time I'm combining RPG elements from games like the Mario and Luigi series with top-down combat similar to what you'd see in a game like Enter the Gungeon. And so far, what I've got done is player movement, terrain, destructible objects, chests, an enemy, the RPG portion of combat in which you can attack, use skills, or an item, and a top-down portion of combat in which you'll swing your weapon at an enemy while dodging your bullet fire. So with all that done, my next step was to put all of that into an actual story. And the first step I took was creating the blueprints on what events I want to happen. And in the very first scene, as you can see here, the player is falling down. Just putting this into the game alone required me to make a bunch of new systems. For instance, the player falling into frame required me to create a cutscene system, something I've done in previous games, but even in those games it was a hassle to create new cutscenes without bugs popping up. And while the player is falling, a mysterious voice talks to you, and they'll ask you questions such as your name, or whether or not you'd unalive someone. As you can see, this alone added 3 new systems that I don't really think I need to go into much detail for. Anyways, after that, the player can move around and go into different rooms. This leads me into my next hurdle, room layouts. This being an RPG, level design doesn't have to have as much thought put into it as, let's say, a 3D platformer, since the player is sort of limited on what they can do in a top-down space, the only obstacles being enemy encounters or puzzles. But I didn't want the player to encounter enemies just yet, since they still require someone. So for now, I focused on the puzzle aspect. However, I know nothing about making good and thought-provoking puzzles. But it's the early game, so I don't really have to worry about something like that just yet. So for now, I made this simple switch bridge puzzle that I would barely even call a puzzle. But it was a good opportunity to do something like teaching the player on how they can equip items and stuff. However, this required me to implement an inventory system that would allow you to do something like this, and this is what I got done. As you can see, you have access to the player's full armor inventory, and as a cool visual, I made it so that equipping different armor pieces would show up on this image of the player on the left. And before you ask, no, it will not appear on the player in-game because that would take way too much time to get done. I also created tabs for consumable items in case you wanted to heal outside of battle, and a settings tab that does nothing so far since I don't really feel like working on that. After a bit of switch hitting, I started working on the next story scene, and this is where I hit an issue. Not with the game, but with this video. See, I like sharing my progress with you all, but the problem is that most progress from here on out will be story related, and I don't want to spoil things for people who want to experience the game itself. So here's what I'll do. If you really want to experience the game yourself, then stop here. The demo isn't out yet, so you'd have to wait longer to experience it, but if you don't care about any of that, then you can keep watching. But in the comments below, let me know if I should just cover story beats in my devlogs, or if I should just cover new mechanics. Moving on, next you meet this evil looking monster that you'll need to put down. This is the game's tutorial, and what you'll learn— oh, never mind, turns out this wasn't an enemy. This is Benjamin, and he, just like you, fell down from the sky and doesn't know where he is. So he joins you since it's better to stick together. This cutscene required a bunch of new systems, such as a dialogue system, a system for dialogue options, a system for having characters follow you, a system that lets you swap between 2 characters to take advantage of their different weapons. And I even needed to add Benjamin's own inventory to the inventory menu. And yes, you can also see what he's wearing when you change his armor. I hope you can see why it's been a while since my last update. Traveling a bit more, you meet this gatekeeper, whose purpose is to give you some lore and to teach you how to fight. This required me to make a tutorial system, but after you finish the tutorial, or choose to ignore it, he'll open the gates and let you through, in which you'll arrive in a new area I like to call the garden. And that's where I'll stop for now. I plan to release a video after I finish the garden, whenever that happens to be. I do apologize for this video not being as long as my other ones, but that's because I was in a rush to get all this done before I'm back to college. However, I'll be updating you all on the game more frequently on my Discord server in case you don't feel like waiting 4 months for an update. Since I'm going to my last semester of college, there probably won't be any videos within that time frame. Anyways, thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.